Mr. Amazing, Abu Hamza, thank you for joining in. Today is a very special broadcast. I'm going to be showing you my collection of comics and graphic novels. Thank you for joining in on TikTok and YouTube. Getting comics in English was a big challenge because for one simple reason, and that was that comics were either available in Arabic or they would have to be bought from outside. So now it's a mixed bag. I promised each and every one of you a few months ago that I'm going to be broadcasting my collection live. So some of it is new, some of it is very old, going back all the way to the 70s. So first, because Superman, he is the iconic superhero, and one of the prized possessions I have for him, it's this book, which is by Alex Ross and Paul Dini, illustrated by Alex Ross and written by Paul Dini. It's a beautiful book, which is not part of the DC mainstream continuity, but this was published somewhere late 90s, early 2000s. And I was fortunate enough to get this book, Peace on Earth Superman. Now, these books, I don't keep them in the shelf, they are covered in an envelope. So then comes Batman War on Crime. Now, War on Crime is also a book which is written by Paul Dini and illustrated by Alex Ross. So this is another prized possession of mine. I searched for this book for many years until finally someone very special in my life bought me this as a birthday gift. So there you can see. So these books, I'm not going to be placing them behind the shelf, as you can see, because they are very, very, how should I say, dear to me, in the sense that this collaboration is something that may not happen again in our lifetime. So we're done with these two books. Now I'm going to be heading straight to showcasing all the comics and the graphic novels that I have been collecting since 1984. Please bear with me. I'm just trying to put back these rare books. I hope one day I get to get them signed by Alex Ross and Paul Dini. Okay, now what we have here is my set of graphic novels, and these graphic novels are DC and Marvel. So let's start with Batman, Death in the Family. This is written by Jim Starlin. It is one of the most tragic stories, even though the funny story behind it is that actually this was at the time DC Comics readers wanted to kill Jason, or in fact they didn't want Jason Todd as Robin. They didn't like the character, so DC Comics, what they decided, they started to do a voting campaign in which people would decide, readers would decide what to do with Jason Todd, and the fans of Batman overwhelmingly voted to kill Jason Todd. So this is a graphic novel, Death in the Family. Okay, illustrated by Jim Aparo and written by Jim Starlin. If you are a huge fan of Batman, if you are a fan of the Red Hood, this is something that you really need to read. It's the best stories from the 1980s DC Comics era. So this one goes in the shelf. Next up is a story I kept on talking about for the last week because it was its 50th anniversary. And this is The Amazing Spider Man, the night Gwen Stacy died. So, death of the Stacys is a very important story. This trade paperback actually has the story when Captain George Stacy, Gwen's father, dies, and then followed by the most tragic, the most shocking story that started the Bronze Age of comics. This is the death of the Stacys trade paperback. For those of you seeing this live broadcast for the first time, uh, this is basically like my first attempt, if you will, in terms of showcasing my entire collection. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that because there are lots of comics and graphic novels that I have to share with you. But I am really happy to see that there are people coming in, joining in for basically to have a look at my collection, and that certainly means a lot to me. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on TikTok, and also if you're subscribing to my YouTube channel, I have recently launched a membership program where you will get exclusive perks, exclusive content, even get a chance to chat with me one on one in online. Okay, and I mean, so many more things are headed your way. And the membership plan actually starts at $2, uh, $2 per month. So, which is like 7.5 reals per month. And it gives you a lot of exclusive features. You can have a look at the membership plan. Okay. Next up is my favorite Batman graphic novel, trade paperback, sorry, which is about one of the most important stories from the mid 2000s. It's my favorite because it was illustrated by Jim Lee and written by Jeff Loeb. It introduced a very interesting Batman villain with a lot of depth. So, which ones are these? This is Batman Hush, Book 1, and this is Batman Hush, Book 2. One of the best stories I've ever read. So it goes here. Next up is Marvel. So this is where it all began for the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Captain America Winter Soldier is a very good graphic novel, very good story in which Bucky Barnes is reintroduced as the Winter Soldier. So whatever you saw in Captain America Winter Soldier movie, this all comes from this book. It is a very good story written by Ed Brubaker and illustrated by Steve Epting. Bucky Barnes was the Golden Age sidekick, much like Batman's Robin, but he got killed off quite early, and next thing you know, they finally reintroduced him in the early or mid 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. Beautiful art, as you can see. Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier. Anyone who is a Frank Miller fan, anyone, well, The Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller's work for the Batman. Of course, this is not the first work because before it, he did Batman Year One, which, by the way, I have. So, this is what you're looking at. Very good story, a story that shook the world of comics in the 80s. Okay, now. Thanos fans, I have this Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, Infinity Gauntlet. This story in which the entire Marvel universe, not just the Avengers, they go up against Thanos to prevent him from getting the Gauntlet and changing the fabric of reality. This is one of the best ones. Yes, I have for Fantastic Four. Also, you will be seeing the comics as well as the graphic novels. Please bear with me. Fantastic Four is also on the way. X Men are also on the way. So many other titles are there. NBA Young Boy. I'm from Jeddah, bro. As the name implies, son of Jeddah. Okay. So there goes the Infinity Gauntlet. And then we have Batman once again. A story which some stories are like 12 part, 4 part, 6 part. Imagine if you have a collection of short stories about the Batman written by legendary artists. And this is Batman Black and White, Volume 1, a collection of the best short stories I've ever read by all of the legends, whether they were from DC or Marvel, artists, writers, even the independent writers as well. So this is one. The other one is Batman Black and White Volume 2. So it has another collection. Of course, I'm not done with it. I want to collect more because the true essence of Batman as the detective superhero is actually captured, and so many ways it is imagined or reimagined that allows us to have a wonderful experience. It's a really good read, if you will, and if you are looking for really good art, and it's all in black and white, by the way. So that is the case now. Okay, now this is a rare graphic novel, not much talked about. It was a very good idea from the 90s, and as you know, that the 90s was basically a time when a lot of explosive stuff was being experimented with, and there were a lot of reasons behind it. So, anyways, there was this book which was done by Howard Mackey and illustrated by John Romita Jr. And this is Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Punisher, Hearts of Darkness. So I love it because it basically brings together three of my favorite anti-heroes, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Punisher, and they go up against Mephisto's son, Blackheart. And it could have been a great story if it was not rushed towards conclusion. It could have been much better. The plot is really strong. It's a very good story, but unfortunately, I personally think that it was rushed towards conclusion. Okay, then we have okay. Now, if you are a fan of X-Men and you love Chris Claremont's era, um, with people like John Byrne and with people like Dave Cockrum and all that. Now, I have this short story, which is considered one of the greatest short stories ever written in the history of comic books. One of them, not the number one. And this is X Men Days of the Future Past. John Byrne, Chris Claremont, they wrote this, they did this story. It is a dystopian story. There was a movie also based on this by Fox Studios, X-Men Days of the Future Past. I like the adaptation, even though it's not exactly the same as the comic book. Nevertheless, yeah, but in movie they have made some changes. Mr. Amazing, you have said it right. But in this one, the story is a little bit different because obviously they don't adapt it exactly the way it is. But one of the best and my favorite stories. So okay, next up we have is the Justice League graphic novel, which is actually not part of the mainstream DC universe. It's a dream project. It's a passion project, which was written by Jim Kruger, illustrated by Alex Ross, and Doug Braithwaite, and it's called Justice. Beautiful cover as always. Volume one, volume two, volume three. It, if you are like me who grew up in the 80s, this is something that you need to have because it's something separate from the mainstream DC timeline, and it is something like very good fantasy in which super friends are basically reimagined, all that thing, but in a much more serious, in-depth way. Thank you for my viewers who have joined me on YouTube. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to join in the chat. TikTok guys, you guys are going amazing, and especially Mr. Amazing is just amazing. Make sure to share this live broadcast who would be interested to see this collection. Remember that I am a collector based in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and I started collecting comics here in this city back in 1984. So this is what it is. Okay, then we have okay, if you want to know the history of Marvel Comics, the fictitious history of Marvel Comics, uh, it was a very out of the box idea back in 1994 when legendary writer Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross. This was Alex Ross's debut work when he started his work with the comic book industry. And this book basically tells the story from the perspective of a fictitious character who is a reporter uh, in New York. And I think he was based, because when you look at him, he was based on Stan Lee. If it's as if Stan Lee is basically telling the story. Phil Sheldon, Marvels. This book you need to have. It is one of the best stories ever written. It's a fictitious story about the Marvel universe, and a very good read. The artwork, I want to show you the artwork. Each and every page is a masterpiece. Okay, next up is DC again. Joker by Brian Azzarello. This book came out around the time of the release of the Dark Knight movie, which was directed by Christopher Nolan, and very good graphic novel. Lee Bremjo has done a great job when it comes to the art. Okay, then we have anyone who of you who is an Iron Man fan? Anyone? Thank you, Ali. Okay. Well, this is Demon in a Bottle, great graphic novel, one of the best stories for Iron Man that was written. I got it autographed by the artist and the writer, Bob Layton, back in Stanley Supercon in Riyadh. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Amazing. Glad you like the cover. The first DC Comics work that was done by Frank Miller. It's for Batman. Ali Ji, thank you for joining in the live broadcast. Thank you so much, bro. So here it is, Frank Miller's Batman Year One. When Frank Miller saw success at Marvel Comics, he was basically uh, given the task to redefine Batman. This is a time when three of flagship characters of DC, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, were actually uh, redefined by a team of superstars who had made a huge impact in Marvel. And in that respect, uh, this is the first work, Batman Year One. And Fahad, Alhamdulillah, I'm doing great. Ramadan Mubarak, Habibi, to you too. And I hope the holy month is going great. Ali Ji, uh, I like you and I like your dedication. Thank you, man. It means a lot. It means a lot, man. Uh, comics are something really special. I see Khubab Malik also. Khubab, thank you so much. Kulusana Wanta Tayyib Khubab, thank you so much for joining in. Alhamdulillah, it's a pleasure to be seeing all of you on my live broadcast. Uh, okay, now we are. Okay, which one did I show you guys? Okay, it was Batman Year One. Now, after Batman Year One, I want to show, because Frank Miller is somebody who I have noticed that a lot of people like his work in Saudi Arabia and the GCC. So, uh, do you want me to show you his one of the best Marvel works? Uh, because the next one is going to blow your mind. And it's this collection, The Best of Wolverine Volume 1. Now, The Best of Wolverine Volume 1, this is Frank Miller's art. This is not something that was written by Frank Miller. In 1981, if I'm not mistaken, or 1982, X-Men writer, legendary writer Chris Claremont and Frank Miller, they get together and they write a limited series for our favorite mutant, Wolverine. It was, I think, a four-part series, but this book doesn't only collect their work; it also collects the work that was done by Barry Windsor Smith, and the list goes on and on. The Marvel Comics Presents, which revisits basically the origins of Wolverine in Weapon X program. So this is something much valuable. And I am also intending to buy its second volume, which is going to be much much bigger, larger than this one. Okay, next up is this I got as a gift. Gordon of Gotham, Jim Gordon. So this centers on Jim Gordon, Commissioner Gordon, but very good story, written by a multitude of writers: Chuck Dixon, Dennis O'Neil. I mean, two of the best writers when it comes to writing crime and drama and all that. And it's a very good read. I got this as a gift, and it's one of my favorite graphic novels. Okay, now many of you might have seen uh, the last Venom movie about Carnage. I forgot the title of that. Now, that movie was horrific. It wasn't even good. It was poorly done. They ruined the entire characters, everything. So, this is the story: Spider Man Maximum Carnage. This is much, much better. Yes, Alfred, I think, has a comic Pennyworth, I think they do have that. So now this was published in the 90s, Maximum Carnage. It was the time when Carnage unleashes a murderous campaign on the city of New York. And what happened was that it not only brought together Spider-Man and Venom, but it also brought about characters like Captain America, Deathlock, and even Iron Fist. That's the beauty about Spider-Man comics, is the fact that uh, you know the stories are always really refreshing, and it becomes so relatable, because if there is a problem occurring in New York City, and since all of the superheroes of Marvel Universe are living in New York City, then obviously how can they not be affected by a particular event. So that's why this is one of the reasons why I love Marvel. It's the fact that the interconnectivity of the universe itself. Okay, next up is let's see. Okay, so one of the viewers, he actually asked about my collection of Fantastic Four. Mr. Amazing, if you are watching, here it is. This is, behold, Galactus. It has the entire Galactus trilogy, along with some other issues, important issues that were done by John Byrne. So this is Galactus trilogy, along with some other issues that had very good stories, and uh, written by Stan Lee and John Byrne, art by Jack Kirby, John Byrne. Really good. I mean, Fantastic Four. Okay, now Superman, Batman. As you saw, that I started out um, with Superman and Batman comics. So I have this Superman Batman trade paperback. I really loved this series. I wish I could have collected all of it. This one is written by Jeph Loeb and art by the late Michael Turner, and it involves Supergirl as well as Darkseid. A very good story. This was adapted as an animated feature. So Okay. Many of you are hearing about Secret War. Now, Secret War is a different storyline that's going to be adapted on Marvel Cinematic Universe. But the first Secret War that happened was this one. Back in 1984, all of the heroes get abducted and they are transported to another planet or a pocket universe, if you will, where they end up uh, fighting against the supervillains. So it wasn't only the heroes that were abducted; it was also what should I say? Um, the villains, they also got abducted, and then it was a fierce competition between them, and it's one of the best stories that was ever done. Now, I won't call it much of a critically acclaimed, because by the end of the day it was more driven by commercial interest, because Marvel had ended up with a deal with Mattel toys and things like these. So this is what it was. But it's a very good story, and definitely worth reading and worth collecting as well. Okay. Dark Victory, Batman. Tim Sale recently passed away, written by Jeff Loeb. I have all of the three books of this series, one of which happens to be Haunted Night, and the other one happens to be Long Halloween. So you'll be seeing the other two parts shortly. So here's the Haunted Night, and the Long Halloween. Now, these books, why I love them is because they capture the darkness of Batman. These stories take place after the character, basically, the character was created in 1939, and it's still in the initial origin phases, and that's where they capture the story. And you know uh, you see Carmen the Roman Falcone, you have all of the Batman's rogues galleries. The moment you start reading this, you just can't stop. It's one of I mean a phenomenal job that was done by the team of Jeff Loeb and the late Tim Sale. Okay, Avengers Kree-Skrull War. This is the story that was the best sci-fi story in the late 60s, and later on Brian Michael Bendis, when he joined Marvel, he decided to use it as the base story to launch a series of crossover events that would shake the Marvel universe, which include House of M, which include World War Hulk, which include um, Secret Invasion, which include so many other titles in that. So it all began with this. Again, I'll show it to you. Kree-Skrull War. This was written by Roy Thomas, illustrated beautifully by John Buscema and Neil Adams, the famous artist who would be known later for his works on the Batman. Okay, All right. So now, if you know the writer by the name of Alan Moore and you want to read his best work, then Superman is his best work. Mind you, that Alan Moore also started with Marvel. He did the Marvel Man series. But when he got signed up by DC, he did Superman, Batman, he did Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing remains his best work, but even more than that is this Superman, and this is a collection. Whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, he was paired with the legendary artist Kurt Swan from the Silver Age, and also it has a very important Superman story, which is only one shot. The Man Who Has Everything. For the Man Who Has Everything, it is a very good story that was written by Alan Moore. Then we have, how many of you are fans of Daredevil? Sure, Ali ji, no problem, man. No problem. May Allah accept your prayers and please remember me in your prayers as well. God bless you. Okay, how many of you are fans of Daredevil? Okay, now Daredevil is the break that was given to Frank Miller back in the late 70s. Daredevil was a struggling character, its books weren't selling well, and this would be uh, the make or break moment for a new writer. And this book captures the entire collection, all of it. Not all of it, sorry. What I have is volume 2, so you need to have volume 1, volume 3 as well if you want to read the entire Frank Miller run. But the reason I went for this is because of the issues it has inside, and I'm not going to, or in fact I should reveal it to you, because this one has uh, Daredevil's confrontation with Frank Miller, sorry, with Frank Castle, who is the Punisher. It also has that issue, which is Elektra's death. So, the best work that really got Frank Miller noticed in the comic book industry, this one volume collects it. Okay. I'm just trying to see which other book should I show you guys. Okay, now I have a comic, some really old comics that I still have with me. One of the issues that was done by John Byrne when he moved to DC back in the 80s. The way John Byrne drew Superman, he remains my favorite. There have been so many other artists who have been able to draw the Man of Steel, but no one beats John Byrne. Okay, you are also seeing this across the Spider Verse that is uh, going to be released by Sony, and it's based on this book from 1992, which is Spider-Man 2099. And in this upcoming animated series, you will see this character playing a very important role. And when Spider-Man was published, Spider-Man 2099, they even did X-Men 2099. So this one is another memorable piece that I have in my collection. Okay, let's see what else do I have. Okay, now the only Image comic I have, Death Blow. Okay, now this is a very important issue that I still have. X-Men fans would know this character, Angel. In this issue, he kills himself. He commits suicide. But reality was that he gets abducted uh, and by Apocalypse, and then he is converted into the Archangel. So this X Factor comic I still have, and this is Deadpool limited series from the 1993 year, where 30th anniversary of X-Men was being celebrated, and this is Deadpool limited series. So he goes up against Juggernaut. Art, writing, everything. One of the best ones I've ever read. Okay, next up, from the 80s, Batman, written by Max Collins, and another John Byrne issue where Superman goes up against Legion of Superheroes, another 80s classic. Then we have a very rare comic that I have. It's a war comic, GI Combat. One of the best war comics produced by the publishers. Uh, Here, this cover is actually drawn by Joe Kubert, and this would be one of the defining comics, especially at a time when Vietnam War was concluding or finishing, and so this is a very good comic. Now, luckily, I have this. which in which the cover has been done by Joe Kubert. So any one of you who's into war comics may check this one out. Okay. Next up is okay, really old comics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go stack by stack. First up, Marvel. An old issue of Daredevil from the 80s. Then we have a comic from the 90s of Spider Man versus Doc Ock. Another one. This is a holographic cover. As you can see, the effect. Doctor Doom marrying Susan Storm. These are all the late 90s issues. The Punisher. Spider Man, not the Amazing Spider Man, but the standalone Spider Man series starring Spider Man and Daredevil. Marvel Holiday Special from the 80s. Okay, next up. Show you the first comic that I bought in Jeddah back when they started selling English comics. And it was a G.I. Joe comic. Yeah, found it. I bought this back in 1990 from Middle East Shopping Center, which is on Palestine Street. I think I don't know if it's going to be demolished or not, but uh, so there used to be Star Markets uh, in in that center, and they would be having a newsstand, and they would be selling magazines and comics. So this is my first ever comic that I bought in Jeddah, and I think I bought it for 10 reals maybe. So uh, now, rather than taking you through the entire collection of GI Joes, I will just quickly show you some of the special ones. This is the last issue that was done by Marvel Comics. After this, uh, GI Joe went to Dynamite or DW. I don't recall which other company it is. And then there is another issue that was done by Marvel, which had uh, well, it was a story, Transformers. So G.I. Joe, starring Snake Eyes and Transformers. Larry Hama, who is the writer known for his works for Wolverine, is still writing these. This was a short lived series, Spider Man Unlimited, and this one saw Human Torch and Spider Man best friends from college, from high school, and okay, let's see what else do I have. Lots more here, but can't show you all because it's mostly GI Joes. Uh, the Incredible Hulk up against Wendigo with Alpha Flight Sasquatch. Okay, my first ever Thor comic. I lost the cover from the 1980s. An Iron Man issue, Iron Man annual, in which the origins of Mandarin are actually explored. The 90s were are still known as the gimmick covers era, and here is the wedding issue of Rick Jones with Marlowe, Incredible Hulk. So it's basically so you can see the Marvel universe attending the wedding. Anyone who is a friend of Rick Jones. I have this very important issue from one of the best stories that was written by the for the Avengers by Roger Stern. Uh, so when the Avengers get attacked by Masters of Evil, and then this is Punisher Suicide Run. So again, I think I also have Silver Surfer issue. Oh yeah, there's this one Captain America comic. The last work that was done by legendary writer Mark Grunwald. For those of you who don't know who Mark Grunwald is, the character Mobius in Loki is actually based on him. The concept of continuity, maintaining continuity in Marvel, is he was like the guy who made sure that continuity never gets compromised. All Star Squadron, a short lived comic when DC Comics was celebrating 50 years back in 1984. This is basically some members of the Justice Society, Shazam, all of them coming together along with the original Green Lantern, as you can see. And this was also written by Roy Thomas. Then we have Bloodlines, Batman, the issue, and Death of Superman saga, when it was revealed that Superman isn't dead, he has survived, is this one. And I still have it. And this one is from the 1980s relaunch of Wonder Woman, which was The art, as you can see, is done by George Perez. George Perez died last year. He was suffering from pancreatic cancer, and this was written by Len Wein, who is now also dead. The best team up ever to redefine the Wonder Woman character back in the 80s. Of course, I have more issues, but I'm trying to basically show you guys as much as I can without taking much of your time. Very special ones that were quite surprising at the time. Now, this one I also bought it here in Jeddah. This is the first time when Superman reveals to Lois Lane that Clark Kent is actually Superman. Thank you, Noman. Thank you for your kind words. So, this is that special issue where Lois Lane actually learns that Clark Kent is Superman. And then I have the 75th anniversary issue. Sorry, not the 75th anniversary, the 75th issue of the Silver Surfer from the 90s. The gimmick cover, as you can see. Now, my first ever Incredible Hulk comic is this. I would later learn that this comic is actually part of a very well written comic by Bill Mantlo and illustrated by Sal Buscema, and it shows uh, the Incredible Hulk and his battle with depression and anger and rage. This is available as a trade paperback, and it's called Regression. I highly recommend that all of you read it. Then we have The Flash. This is my first ever The Flash comic, and a very good comic because the Flash goes up against all his villains and also gets brutally damaged by Big Sur and then gets revived by uh, the scientists of Gorilla City. Now these are the comics that whose covers I lost over the years for Batman, Wonder Woman. All of them are from the 1980s. So even there is an article, the Batman Dick Tracy connection. This comic has a pinup. My first Green Lantern comic. Batman number 500. Sadly, I don't have it in good condition, but here it is. When Bruce Wayne's replacement actually uh, beats the brains out of Bane. This is Batman number 500 that I still have. Now, this is my first ever comic of Wonder Woman. And this was part of Crisis on Infinite Earths. I also have this DC Comics Presents team up issue of Superman and Flash. Okay, Reign of Super. A reminder that what you have seen is not my entire collection. I'm still in the process of showing you more and more. So there's a lot of exciting stuff headed your way. Let me just sort things out. Okay, now this is a little bit no nice comment. Okay, uh, these are called trading cards, which are now available digitally, and I have the entire box of X-Men Series 2 1993 anniversary year cards. So before we had uh, Wikipedia or fandom site websites, how would we know about our favorite superheroes? Would be through these trading cards. So, for example, I have this Cyclops 30th anniversary trading card, and it would be having his entire bio and everything, his name, his real name, his powers, everything. And I have one for Cable. So the 90s caused a huge craze for these trading cards, and I am fortunate to be having some of the best ones and some of the rarest ones as well. For example, the most expensive card I have, which is now worth more than uh, I think $300, just one card. It's a Wolverine card, holographic card, and I was lucky enough to get it out of a cereal box in the US. So this is the holographic card. I'm going to show you guys a close up, but bear with me first. So Wolverine is ripping out of the wall, a steel wall. This is one of the most expensive cards. Uh, I think there is a lot of comic people on this app. Uh, Possible, but I don't come across a lot of them. Okay, and this is actually the Wolverine card, the standard Wolverine card, art by Andy Kubert. Who, and then I have this limited edition Magneto card, and I think the art. No, it's not by Jim Lee. So back in the day, trading cards were a huge thing because you would get the information about your favorite heroes, villains. You would also get wonderful art uh, that would be heading your way. Okay, now a series of graphic novels which actually formed the part of this 8 year long arc that was thought of by Brian Michael Bendis, in which he based it on Avengers Kree-Skrull War. So here it goes. We have House of M, and oh boy. We have House of M. We have Before that, New Avengers breakout. This is the time when Avengers finally accepted members like Wolverine and Luke Cage and Spider Man. One of the best ones. Thank you, Norman, for joining in, and every one of you who has took out the time. A very good series, very good issue, and it basically is the it's a follow up issue of Avengers Disassembled. Let me get that. Now, where did I put it? Guys, bear with me. I can't seem to find Avengers Disassembled, even though I just saw it like few minutes ago. Now, this is a very underrated story. It's called Powerless. It was written in the mid 2000s, and it basically looks into the concept of if superheroes, uh, what if the Marvel universe existed in our real world? How would Peter Parker be like? How would Matt Murdock and Logan Wolverine would be like? Doctor Strange, everybody. It's a very realistic take on basically seeing our heroes in the light of reality. And it is like, I think, one of the best stories ever written in the 2000s. All the way from Civil War to the death of Captain America. So I'll just take you guys through one by one quickly. I think Civil War is the most expansive series that I have ever collected. And because the way superheroes were affected by the Registration and Act, and in those days, there was a Patriot Act that was introduced by the US government, and that was really dividing people. So, in that respect, how would it divide the Marvel universe if something similar had happened? So, all of these trade paperbacks I collected because I think at the time it resonated with me very deeply, and it was huge. What should I say? Uh, it had a huge impact. Famir, welcome to my live broadcast. A pleasure to be seeing you. Okay, War Crimes, Civil War. Now, this one is one of my favorite trade paperbacks because it shows that how governments usually work behind the scenes and how they basically do the deal in order for the greater good or for their strategic objectives. And it takes a very deep dive into it. Then we have New Avengers as part of Civil War. Then the Captain America collection, which basically, after Bucky's introduction as the Winter Soldier, it takes a whole new turn, if you will, and a build up towards what was about to come. Then we have Frontline. This would collect Civil War from the perspective of the media, which would be Daily Bugle, which would be Ben Urich, uh, how the media is viewing it, and then this would be the post Civil War changes that have occurred. Now, this one is one of my favorite books, The Road to Civil War. It basically shows that how the events of the Kree-Skrull War actually led to the heroes thinking of something that needs to be done vis-a-vis controlling the heroes in a way that does not bring in more problems for the superhero community. And it's a very good trade paperback. And then because Civil War ended up with the death or the perceived death of Captain America. And then how did it impact the whole Marvel universe? I wish they had left Steve Rogers dead because it really ruins the impact. Sadly, comic book editors and writers, they have different priorities. Then we have this World War Hulk. Now, you all saw Kree-Skrull War, the story that was the foundation, and later on it would not only be connected with Civil War, the Avengers breakout, but first and foremost it would start out with this secret war where Nick Fury is suspicious that something is being done covertly, and he decides to do a preemptive strike, and he hires a team of superheroes who he can trust, and then he later mind wipes them. But when their minds are wiped, they are not aware that they were part of a covert mission, and next thing you know, they get attacked by uh, B-list villains, but they have technology, much upgraded technology, and Luke Cage ends up fighting for his life. So then this is a follow-up of Avengers Disassembled. I just don't know where did I put it right now. It was right here in front of me. I hope I find it. So I want to show you. So this is after the Avengers Disassembled uh, book breakout, and then the Secret Invasion. Now, Secret Invasion is going to be broadcasted on Disney Plus pretty soon. I don't know if it's going to be able to catch the essence because it's based on the premise that the Skrulls have basically infiltrated every institution, every superhero team, every supervillain team. You don't know who is a Skrull, who is not a Skrull. So this is basically this trade paperback collects from where it all started, and it goes all the way back to the issue that was done by Stanley and Jack Kirby in Fantastic Four, where the Skrulls were introduced for the very first time as the shape shifting aliens, and then how did they make the most violent comeback in Marvel Universe history. Okay, that's there. So, as you can see behind me, uh, Wolverine Evolution hardcover. Guru, thank you for joining my broadcast. Really means a lot, bro. Really means a lot. You joined in late. I just placed all the Batman collection. Let me see if I can find. But obviously, Batman comics, I'm going to be sharing them with you right now in the Drive broadcast. One of the best graphic novels right now, Kraven's Last Hunt. And X Men's God Loves, Man Kills, a very good story that is against discrimination, written by the legend Chris Claremont himself. So these would go here. Then I was talking to you guys about Avengers Disassembled. So this is the story that was basically positioned as the aftermath of Marvel's Avengers getting caught up with the Skrulls in Kree-Skrull War, and then the impact of that uh, would lead to Avengers getting disassembled, and then the new Avengers would be forming, and then it would end with Avengers versus X-Men. Thank you, Guru. It means a lot. I'm really glad that you liked my collection, and there is more on the way right now. Okay, now let me just anyone who is a Venom fan, this is the entire Venom saga, the birth of Venom, how the origins of Venom, and the black suit that came from Secret War, and how did it transfer to Eddie Brock, all of it. Okay, then we have book 3. Yeah, a very tragic tale of X-Men, which in which it is basically imagined that how will the X-Men ever end? How will they die? How will they come to their respective conclusions? So these are X-Men: The End, and these are 3 books. I have to admit that I am a lifelong X-Men fan, and for good reason. Because I grew up reading X-Men back in the 80s, and in those days, Chris Claremont was writing. So the stories were so captivating, the stories were so resonating, that to this day I still keep on. If I have to read, my first preference is always X-Men. So this is X-Men Visionaries Jim Lee. It collects all the works that were drawn by Jim Lee, and obviously when the works of Jim Lee are being collected, 99% of them were written by Chris Claremont. You want to read the best stories, meaning with the best art and everything, this is one of them. And then you have uh, the Dark Phoenix Saga. Maybe this could have been the best superhero death story in the history of comics. Thank you, Guru. Thank you. So this could have been the best story, even better than the night Gwen Stacy died, because this was an entire series, not just 2 issues. But Marvel basically had this idea of bringing back Jean Grey after her death. One of the worst decisions, and I think since then, this practice has been there all along. Superman killed, then he's brought back. Then you have Captain America killed, and then he's brought back. Wolverine, he gets killed, and then he gets brought back. So this is like this issue, sorry, this series was basically that started it all. Nevertheless, it's a very good story. The sequel of Infinity Gauntlet, which you saw earlier, is Infinity War. And after this one is Infinity Crusade, but I don't have this. It's a very complicated story because it has a very deeper philosophical time travel related stuff. And in that respect, it's very difficult for the reader to basically continue reading this book. But please do read. Now, another prized possession of mine is Iron Man Armor Wars. Now, Armor Wars is going to be a series that's going to be connected with the Secret Invasion series, TV series. And but this one, the comic book version, is not at all connected with Secret Invasion. In fact, it was published back in the 80s, late 80s, one of the best stories ever written about the theft of Stark International's technology. And I was fortunate enough to get it signed by the artist Bob Layton, whose name is here mentioned here, back in 2019 in Stanley Supercon in Riyadh. Okay. Daredevil fans, I have something for you. It's another one of Frank Miller's work, Daredevil Born Again. And the title has been borrowed for the upcoming Daredevil series in Marvel Cinematic Universe, but the story is not going to be based on this one because this story was actually pretty much adapted in the Netflix version of the series. A very good work that was done by Frank Miller and the art by the masterful David Mazzucchelli. Uh, if you're a Daredevil fan, please make sure to get this one. Now, this is like a book from the declining era of X Men from the late 90s. This is X Men versus Apocalypse. And basically, Apocalypse takes Wolverine as one of his the Four Horsemen, to unleash havoc, and then how Wolverine breaks off from this and everything. It is, I think, the last work that was ever produced that saw some kind of good impact. Of course, it cannot be compared with the era of Chris Claremont. Nevertheless, I found it entertaining, but I'm not going to be saying that this is like the best of the best or something like that. طيب, alhamdulillah. Now, a huge stack of comics. Let's go for it. Fantastic Four from the 1970s. By the way, I still haven't showed you the biggest prize when it comes to X-Men, the collection that I have. So you have to stay till the end of the broadcast to have a look at it. Okay. Two comics from the 1970s in very good condition that I still have them. Spider-Man Marvel team up issue with Spider-Man and Nick Fury. Now, this issue, I'm going to be talking about it in a little bit of a detail because it just shows that what kind of quality work has been produced in Marvel. But please bear with me. Just need to. Okay. Thank you, Guru, for joining. Okay. Now, this issue from the 70s has the story written by Chris Claremont, the legendary X-Men scribe. But most importantly, the art is done by Sal Buscema. And if you have all of the four issues, including Steve Lealoha, if you have all four issues of this story, it shows that three legendary artists, along with a legendary writer, worked on this. That's how serious Marvel used to be back in the day. It wasn't about just having a good story and having a poor artwork. No, it was about having the best art as well as the story and coming up with team up concepts. Now, look at it, Spider Man and Nick Fury. And it also has Black Widow, by the way. And later on, they get joined by Shang-Chi. So I'm planning to get all of these issues as standalone comics because this is something that deserves to be collected. Now, one thing I have to uh, share with you guys, and that is that you all saw in Black Panther. Sorry, let me just fix my TikTok. Okay, so all of you saw Black Panther movie, and in the Black Panther movie, we all saw Namor, Prince Namor the Submariner. I always called him Namor the Submariner. Now, in this, what we see is I have an issue where we actually find a superhero, super villain team up. So just like you had a Marvel team up, you even had a super villain team up. And in the 70s, Namor had become pretty much of a villain. And he was working alongside Doctor Doom and to a certain extent Red Skull. This is from, I think, 1978, if I'm not mistaken, or 1977. So this piece of history, I still have it with me. And then I also have the follow up issue of it, where Red Skull and Doom go head on against each other. I just need to drop a shout out to my community on Instagram. Please bear with me because I think hi everyone, I'm live on my YouTube channel right now. So if any one of you wants to look at my comic books and graphic novels collection, you can head straight to my YouTube channel. I'm broadcasting live. Make sure not to miss out. Hi everyone, I'm live on my YouTube channel right now. So if any one of you wants to look at my comic books and graphic novels collection, you can head straight to my YouTube channel. I'm broadcasting live. Okay, that's done. Hi everyone, I'm live on Let my me YouTube just channel right now. So if any one of you wants to look at my comic books and graphic novels collection, you can head straight to my YouTube channel. I'm broadcasting live. Make sure not to miss out. Okay. Hi everyone, I'm live on my YouTube channel right now. So if any one of you wants to look at, sorry guys. Hi everyone, I'm live on my comic. Hey Hitmax, thanks for joining in. Okay. It means a lot, Hitmax. Thank you so much. Okay, so now you have seen two of my comics from the 70s, which I have just placed back in my shelf. Now let's see what other stuff I have. Okay, this is stack one. And this is the rest of it. Okay, Yeah, let's. Bear with me, guys. Ah. Oh boy. So this is Magneto Testament, which explores the origin of our favorite Magneto. Let's restart again. Okay, this is one of the best. Okay, City Walk is gonna come back after Ramadan. That's great, man. Thanks for telling us. In fact, thank you, Hatem Hitmax. For those of you who are interested to know what is going to come after Ramadan, City Walk is going to be launched. Okay, now this is a series which is something produced in the mid 90s of Spider Man. And some of the most groundbreaking issues that happened was life theft. Now, life theft is a series that involves the vulture and, most importantly, the chameleon. And in this story, it is actually shown that Peter Parker's parents have appeared out of nowhere, and there is a lot of suspicion surrounding them. And what happens is that it turns out that they are not actually his real parents, they were actually clones that were created by. Okay, I got a question from Frosty. First of all, thank you for joining in. Do you think Spider Man has the best series of comics? It's a very difficult question, but I might say yes. No, in fact, I'm saying yes. The reason is that Spider-Man is the most relatable character because it's not just about him wearing the costume and fighting villains, it's more to it. I mean, there are so many things from his own life that we find relatable and resonating. And of course, there are some of other things, like, for example, he has his quips, he is comedic, and that really is something that makes this character the most lovable. In fact, there's a research that was done by one of the gaming hubs in UK, and they released this finding that in Saudi Arabia, the most popular superhero out of all, DC, Marvel, whichever, is Spider-Man. So that just shows how much of it, and plus Spider-Man is someone that connects with people from different cultural backgrounds. So this is a series called Life Theft from the mid 90s. It's one of my really favorites. And one of the things is that every time I subscribe to Spider Man comics, because back then they used to come by post, uh, I never was bored. Uh, every issue was a milestone in itself. Uh, now, like this one, Spider Man versus the Hulk. So much of underrated stories are there in both Marvel and DC. It's not just about the main ones, like the ones that have gained popularity over the years because of media and because of so much that's out there. No, it's much more than that. I mean, it's my dream to be able to one day have a library where I am basically having all of the issues. I get the chance. Even they can be collected editions like omnibus or in Marvel, as they call them, omnibus. I don't mind, but I want to read each and every issue because sometimes uh, it's it's just we miss out on so many things. We miss out on so many things, and if you think that whatever you're seeing on Marvel Cinematic Universe or DC Universe, uh, um, for example, She-Hulk. I'm glad one of the viewer actually asked this question. Thank you, Frosty, because it's a very important question. She-Hulk, if you read the comics, you will start hating the TV series because the TV series has not done justice with the character. In fact, they even almost ruined Daredevil. Okay, this here is the special Marvel 80th anniversary issue. Well, Hitmax, there are two problems. If you want to adapt stories, you need to be really careful to see. This is a beautiful collage cover having all the 80 years work artworks combined into one. It's Marvel Comics 1000. Okay, now Hitmax, you have said something very important, and the thing is, first of all, you have to choose your stories wisely. And when I say that, I mean that a story like Secret Invasion is not something that can be adapted even as a TV series, because a series like Secret Invasion is something that that involves the entire Marvel universe in a deep, meaningful way, in a very thrilling way. Uh, it leads to suspicion, and Iron Man versus. So, anyways, let me finish the point, then I'll get to another interesting comment. Uh, and basically, some stories I believe they cannot be adapted as a movie or as a TV series because there is so much covered within the printed edition that it's better that they only are, um, how should I say, read rather than watched. This one is Marvel, which was done by Alex Ross recently, and some of the works, uh, because this is the 30th anniversary issue. But the reason I bought this was because of the cover itself, because this is the based on the art of Marvel Comics #1, which was published back in the 40s, late 30s and 40s. Marvel Comics #1. This is the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond, the android, and it's a good story, anyways, because anything that Alex Ross gets involved with is very thought provoking. Okay, then I have another Jim Kruger Alex Ross project. The only problem with this project is this is Avengers Invaders. Now this story happened after the death of Captain America, and basically the invaders. Now invaders were the team of American and British and ally superheroes who basically somehow, because of the cosmic cube, end up in the modern Marvel universe, and next thing you know they are up against the modern Avengers. And at that time Avengers were divided into two: New Avengers and Mighty Avengers, and it's a very good series that was written, the plot was written by Alex Ross and the story was written by Jim Kruger. But sadly, the artwork inside is not as good as it was supposed to, due to multiple artists working on them and not big names, established names. Okay, Frosty, you've said imagine Iron Man versus Batman. Batman, Batman should be up against That's a tough one because Batman is so unique and so different. Iron Man, uh, I don't think he can stand up to Batman. That's just my personal opinion. Some Avengers issues. This is the first Avenger comic that I bought in Jeddah. Yes, back in the 90s. Batman also has strong gadgets, and Batman is also Tony Stark is not a master tactician. He is not somebody like Batman who knows the weaknesses of each and every one. Batman studies stuff. Batman is, even though if Iron Man has better technology than Batman, for argument's sake, uh, Batman's mind is way ahead. Now, these are some issues like Thunderstrike, which was one of the additional characters who was very popular in the 90s from Thor comics, Eric Masterson, who got the Mjolnir when Thor wasn't there. And then there are some issues from Avengers 30th anniversary, like this one. Now, here, this is the 30th anniversary issue, one of them, not all, but this one, you see the Black Knight and Cersei from Eternals. They were leading the team. Captain America was taking a break. You see Black Widow in her gray costume. And these are the crossover issues of X-Men and Avengers, which was Blood Ties from the 30th anniversary event. And this is the gimmick cover. Okay, let's just put this back. Red Hulk, who is actually General Thunderbolt Ross. Uh, the How did he make his debut? All of the issues are here. I think one of the best characters that they introduced in recent times. It was long overdue. Here's Red Hulk versus She Hulk for the first time, and this one. Then there are issues of Fall of the Hulks, where Doctor Doom, Leader, Modok, all of them go up against all the Hulks. Okay, Hitmax, you've sent me a message. Do you think Eddie Brock in MCU variant actor will be the same actor Tom Hardy? Because Spider-Man 5 might be about Spider-Man versus Venom after Avengers Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty. I like the take that you have taken. Uh, I don't know if they will be introducing the symbiote in Secret Wars, because that's going to complicate things. The problem is that Sony owns rights to certain characters, and Sony actually has rights to most of the key characters from the Spider-Man universe, or Spider-Verse as they call it. I hope something materializes, and I hope Tom Hardy gets to reprise his role. If they have to go for some other actor, I think I'm sure they'll be able to find it. Okay, Hakuna Matata, you like the collection? Thank you. Thank you so much. More is on the way. This isn't like close to being finished. Here are some special covers. These comics, I bought them for the covers only. Marvel 70th Anniversary Captain America, then 70th Anniversary Spider Man cover, Wolverine cover, and the Hulk cover. From Marvel 70th Anniversary. Okay, I also have a poster. This was the end of Dark Reign, and the series was called Siege. I can't wait to see Red Hulk in live action because I've heard he's gonna be in Captain America: New World Order movie. Yes, General Ross, played by Harrison Ford. Let's see if they are going to be introducing the Red Hulk because he also was an important part of the Thunderbolts team. Okay, let me bring in another stack. Sorry, guys, to keep you waiting. I just need to organize along the way. Okay, how many of you have seen Old Man Logan movie? Logan movie. Because I just got the most important comics. Okay, the movie Logan that was based on comic published in 2008. I'm just about to show you the entire series. Okay. Hi everyone. Once again, for those of you just joining in, thank you very much. A lot of the collection has already been shown, but you can see it once I finish the broadcast. I'm going to be uploading it. Now, Wolverine's origin was not settled for quite a long time. And right now, with me, there are two series which are really important when it comes to the character Wolverine. Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman, one of my favorites. Okay, one, three, four. Okay. Beautiful. This is, if you ask me, one of my prized collection. This is it. Origin. This was done back in early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. Andy Kubert is the artist, and Paul Jenkins is the writer. This explores the actual origin of our favorite character, Wolverine. Another supervillain team up starring Doctor Doom and the Red Skull, and Namor, of course, in the background. The story involving Captain America. This is a whole stack of X-Men classics. These were actually the reprints of X-Men comics back in the day. Okay, so now How many of you are into Wolverine? Can anybody tell me? Do you like the Wolverine character? Come on, guys, because I have a lot to show you. Still, there are at least three stacks remaining. Okay, I might as well start. Origin. The title that explores the origins of Wolverine all the way from the beginning. It establishes whether Wolverine had claws naturally or was it part of the Weapon X program, which he had to endure during the pages of Marvel Comics Presents. Now, why is this a prized possession of mine? It's because I have its issue number 2 signed by the writer Paul Jenkins and the artist Andy Hubert, and it comes with certificate of authenticity. And these are all 6 issues that I was fortunate enough to collect. So I'll be putting them there, all the way on the top. Then I have Old Man Logan. For those of you who had watched Logan movie, which was the final of the trilogy, it's based or loosely based on this series. This came out in 2008, and the last cover is the most grueling. Yes, that's the Red Skull wearing Captain America's uniform. One of the best stories ever written by Mark Miller. The art was done by Steve McNiven. Amazing, amazing storyline. Okay, that goes up. Now, some collection of crossover events from the 90s for the X-Men. There's more coming in for the Avengers, by the way. So don't think that this is the end. There are a lot more comics that I have to showcase. Now, we have the X-Men 30th anniversary event, which was, now Avengers are 60 years old, by the way. So, Fatal Attractions. I'm going to show you each and every cover. It started with X-Men number 300, a beautiful holographic cover. And behind it, I have the first appearance of Bishop for those of X-Men fans. And then Fatal Attractions begins. With X Factor, every comic was having a holographic card. So here we see Havoc. Then the story continues in X-Force, where we see a holographic card of Cable. And then we see the story continuing to X-Men with the Magneto, but this one is the Uncanny X-Men comic. Then we have X-Men 25 with a Gambit card. I don't know how clearly it's appearing. Wolverine number 75. Now, the art, as you can see, a beautiful art. It's done by the legendary comic book artist, his son, Adam Kubert. And he remains my favorite artist. And the series ended up in Excalibur. I think in the post Chris Claremont era, it is it was a very good story that was exploring the relationship between Magneto and Professor Xavier. It was very emotional, very dramatic, because friendships, Professor X and Magneto are lifelong friends, but they became enemies because of their ideas, because of their politics, because of their thoughts. And it's one of the best stories that I have ever read. Now, another good story, but not as good as Fatal Attractions, is the Executioner's Song, which involved Cable, Strife, Cyclops, Jean Grey. It was more of a Summers family affair. Uh, the last issue being Cable and Strife going at it all together. A collection of 10 comics. How many of you are aware of Age of Apocalypse? This is the entire stack. It's not complete, but it has most of the key issues of Age of Apocalypse. This is the first where it started and then how it began. Sorry, how it ended. Omega. And in between, sorry, this one was the one where it all started. And the prelude of the series is Legion Quest. Professor Xavier's son Legion time travels and ends up killing his father, where in fact, he intended to kill Magneto. And the rest is history. Okay. Sabretooth, as part of Marvel 30th anniversary, I need to show you this gatefold cover. It was a 4-issue limited series published in 1993. Just like I showed you the issue of Deadpool. So there goes Sabretooth. The whole series of X-Men Onslaught. That ends with this climatic issue, Farewell to Professor Xavier. Okay. From the recent X-Men run by Jonathan Hickman, I have some issues. This is Wolverine #1. I think it's written by Ed Brisson. The cover is Alex Ross. Then I have X-Men #1, and then I have House of X #1. These are the 25th or 30th anniversary of the Mutant Massacre issues, special issues. Let me show you the covers. So it's the X-Men meeting the Morlocks after almost 25 or 30 years. These were basically celebrating the milestones of Chris Claremont era. Another gatefold cover. So this one is a vertical one. Guys, if you keep on watching, there's a lot heading your way because we are still midway when it comes to my collection. I think it would be premature to call it midway because there are more. Now I have an entire collection of Cable comics. Cable, this character who has made appearance in Deadpool movie, played by Josh Brolin. Cable was a very important mutant, still is one of my favorites. But this one is a very special issue. This one is written by Stan Lee. If you guys want me to show you a specific series, just do let me know and I'll arrange it. Some other comics of X-Men. This beautiful art by Adam Kubert, Wolverine versus the Juggernaut. I have to show you a piece of comic book art. Yeah, that's very much liked today in the community. Wolverine up against the Juggernaut. Okay. The most sold comic book series, the Guinness Book of World Record. I'm about to show you that comic. Now, that comic was published in 1991. Initially, it was planned that it would be written by Chris Claremont, and the pencils will be done by Jim Lee. Sadly, due to one specific editor, that didn't happen. But whatever was accomplished during that remains the best ever, the climax, if I might call it, for the X-Men, because it was X-Men, all of the favorite characters up against Magneto, a very vengeful Magneto, and yes, I have this issue. X-Men number 1, 1991, and not just any cover, but the gatefold cover, the main issue itself. It has a poster. I have to be really careful because I don't want the comic to be ruined. And there's another poster inside. It's anything that's written by Chris Claremont is my favorite. But this one is special. This one is very, very special. They had to start drilling. Extinction Agenda. This is where Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld start to make their impact in the world of comics. All 12 issues. Oh, I forgot. My first ever X-Men comic is this one. Uncanny X-Men number 212. The reason I bought this was because, obviously, Wolverine. And this is part of the Mutant Massacre storyline. The Mutant Massacre storyline, I have it completely. So it starts from issue number 210, then 211, then the 212, which you already saw, and then 213. Amazing cover art. Another anniversary issue, which is X-Men number 275. The Uncanny X-Men by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. This is before X-Men number 1 came out. My apologies for the sound from the background. Okay. Coming up next on my live broadcast is a whole stack of Avengers, Iron Man, Spider Man comics. Make sure you don't miss out. Next on my live broadcast is a whole stack of Avengers, Iron Man, Spider Man comics. Make sure you don't miss out. Coming up next on my live broadcast is a whole stack of Avengers, Iron Man, Spider Man comics. Make sure you don't miss out. Coming up next on my live broadcast is a whole stack of Avengers, Iron Man, Spider Man comics. Make sure you don't miss out. Coming up next on my live broadcast. Okay. Now, Magneto, his origins weren't explored, his name was changed multiple times. This is the five-part series Magneto Testament. And this actually takes a deep dive. The art is good. It's not, I would say, something phenomenal to say the least. But this is important if you want to really know the origins of the master of magnetism himself, Magneto. Hi there, thanks for joining in. I'm about to showcase possibly the last batch for the comics that I have as part of my collection. Now it's mostly going to be Avengers, Spider Man, and other Marvel related characters because I just finished with my X-Men collection. So I'm just sorting them. That would allow me to show it to you in a better way. So, okay, so we have World War Hulks. Let's just put them here for the time being. Siege, 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 Siege. Okay, so I have here with me Siege that involves the Avengers and World War Hulks, all of them. Then we have Doom War. Okay, that's done. Special commemorative issue, Marvel 70th anniversary, Captain America, Prince Namor the Submariner. Okay, another special commemorative issue, Spider-Man with Stephen Colbert. Okay, guys. 572, 571. Okay, we've got New Ways to Die, Spider-Man. We've got The American Son, Spider-Man. Okay, and but I came across some more of my comics from the 80s. This is the last issue of Armor Wars. I still have it as a single issue. And let me see if there is any other issue that might be of your interest. Okay. A Spider Man comic from the 1970s. Aunt May is fighting for her life, and Spider Man is, as always, caught up by the Green Goblin. Written by Len Wein and art by Ross Andrew. Okay. Just need to put my phone on charge. Okay, we have these rare comics. Let's see, what does this bag have? Okay, another Peter Parker's graduation from the 1970s. Now, what do we have here? The X-Men Legacy issues. Okay. But before I start with the biggest stack of comics that I have, because I never realized I had so many Marvel comics. But there are some DC ones that I have to show it to you. So John Byrne, Superman, John Byrne, Superman from the 80s, Jim Aparo, Jim Starlin, Batman, the Jason Todd era, another John Byrne, Superman. These were gifted to me by a special friend. Then the facsimile edition of The Flash, The Crisis on Infinite Earth, last issue, where Barry Allen dies. And this is X Force number 1, which I got it signed by Rob Liefeld in Riyadh, Stanley Supercon. So DC is now done. Alhamdulillah. I just realized how much of comics I have lost over the years. Now, this is Jack Kirby's Captain America, the Meta Bomb issue. I didn't get the cover, but it is one of the best comics. You can look it up, Jack Kirby, Meta Bomb. And it's pretty much reflective of the times we are living in. Jack was so far ahead of his time. This series is written and illustrated by Jack Kirby, starring Captain America and Sam Wilson, the Falcon. Do check it out, Captain America Meta Bomb issue. Okay, guys. So, first up is the sequel to Marvel's Eye of the Camera. Now, Marvel's, which was originally done by Alex Ross and Kurt Busiek, they decided to do a sequel of it, but they weren't able to do it because Alex wasn't. They were able to do it without Alex Ross, because he was caught up with another assignment, and this is a very good series because, firstly, the concept of Marvels is very beautiful in the sense that it is a fictitious story, history of the Marvel universe seen through the eyes of Phil Sheldon. Now, Phil Sheldon is a character which I think is based on Stan Lee. The way his looks and everything are there. 6 issues, and it basically tells us the story of the Marvel universe. And this one takes a deep dive into the Bronze Age and the modern age of comics. Uh, I'm lucky that I still have this with me. A Doctor Strange 25th anniversary issue, cover by Alex Ross. X-Men number 500. I have the poster, life-size poster of it as well. Okay. So now you heard me talk about Secret Invasion. You heard me talk about the impact it had. The Secret Invasion comic series is Can I say it's my favorite crossover? I won't shy away from saying that. The simple reason is that this series kept me on my toes because you didn't know who is real. And it led to even more superb stories and crossovers that would be there. One of which being the Dark Reign. Ah, so many issues. So, Secret Invasion is going to be broadcasted on Marvel Cinematic Universe, Disney Plus, and here is almost the entire stack of it. Okay, first up, Norman Osborn becomes the leader of the Thunderbolts, and we get this New Ways to Die. 5-part series. Then there is The American Son, where Harry Osborn and Spider-Man and Norman Osborn go up at it against each other. Okay, last part, we have the Siege, and before the Siege, we have Dark Reign. Now, Dark Reign, this isn't the entire bit. This is the entire Dark Reign, as you can see it here. What happens is that Norman Osborn becomes the director of NSA equivalent, National Security of the US, and he starts going after all the heroes thanks to the events of Secret Invasion, where he ends up becoming the hero due to his his moment in the limelight when he takes out the Skrull Queen. And before that is the Secret Invasion, the issues involving New Avengers, Mighty Avengers, and so to each and every one of you who joined in, thank you so much. It means a lot that you guys took out the time during Ramadan to check out my collection. Each and every one of you has their own respective commitments. But certainly, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of you. And I really enjoyed, even though it was very tiring, but I really enjoyed showing you my entire collection, which you can see. It's, I'll just move the screen a little bit. You have here, you have there, you have at the bottom, and then there is another stack that I have to put it behind me. So to everyone who joined me on TikTok, to everyone who joined me on YouTube, thank you. And if you guys want to watch this live broadcast again, you can head straight to my YouTube channel link. For those of you on TikTok, the link is in my bio. Thank you once again, guys. And make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on TikTok as well for more. Take care.